Hey, and welcome to the final episode where we build our Sabre. We are almost there. And so in this episode, we'll go over the final changes to the design, and we will talk about production and availability plans. Should be a pretty short video, so let's get into it. All right, first things first, let's get into the changes. And this is a pretty big change because for the first time ever, I changed design based on feedback. Usually I'm pretty sure about what I want, and I stick with it. And in this case, you guys had some thoughts about the handle design, and I think you were right. The main critiques are that it's a little too chunky and perhaps blocky and not keeping with the more flowing lines of the head. And I actually agree. And so while I like a lot of bones of this handle, we went back to the drawing board to some extent, and we changed it up a bit. And so here is the new handle design for the Sabre. We've elongated it slightly. We've introduced this long curving area here to get rid of that kind of bulkiness. We've elongated the neck slightly so that it flows better, especially in profile of the head, where the previous handle was a bit blockier. So we've kept a lot of the bones, but we've kind of stretched it out a little bit, giving it a bit more of that kind of vector neck, keeping that midsection nice and grippy, and elongating the bottom to create a more flowing, kind of graceful profile. And of course, to make sure that the balance remains where we want it, we also had to stretch out the handle a little bit, shift the center of gravity around, and make sure this thing stays balanced and neutral, just like we expected. And I am extremely pleased. So thank you for your feedback. This is the final version, by the way. So we are running this handle. I love it. It's grippy. It's perfect. It looks great. It feels great. The contrasting satin grip section with the machined rest of the handle, I think looks incredible. You'll especially be able to see that on the polish finish, which I will show you in a minute. But anyway, that's the handle change. So thank you for that feedback. And be aware that any additional feedback is too late because this is one we're going with. So you guys did a good job, but you only get one shot. So now that's the change to the handle. Let's go over the other significant change, and that is to the base plate. So here is the previous base plate design. And we had this little, call it almost like a nose here, this piece. And that was meant to kind of cover up the numbers on the safety bar. And that was meant to be kind of a seamless way to make sure that you don't get confused about which side is the one you're shaving with. The little cover of the engraving. And that way you know that the one that is shown on the bottom is the one you're shaving with, in this case, level 1. But this piece made lather flow and rinsing pretty challenging. And so we had to get rid of that little nose piece. So here's the new base plate. And we'll take the safety bar off to show some things first. For direct comparison, the old one is on the right here, and the brand new one is on the left. And so we have greatly improved lather flow by eliminating that little nose. And we've also, as you can tell, created these really long sections that evacuate lather excellently. And so that's a huge improvement in the function of the razor. And we can also look at the safety bars to see how that changes as well, because we had to make a couple of changes there too. So here is how it works with the new safety bar. And you can see just how thin that is. It looks a lot like the original Sabre. And as a comparison, here is the previous safety bar. And I can take those out to show you even more clearly. We were concerned with the rigidity while machining this, because it's basically machined actually just like this, held straight up like this. And so we were concerned with rigidity. And so we added these kind of buttresses here and made this area very thick. But as we started machining them, we realized that it's actually pretty rigid. And so we can get away with a much thinner profile. And so we switched to this one on the right that obviously greatly improves lather flow and just makes it a much more functional razor. And so I'm very excited about that because that was the one kind of drawback during shaving. And so you can see how that works combined. Those channels make great lather flow, and it is so narrow from the top that it's a huge improvement. And so here is that comparison again. You can see the old one on the right, new on the left, and you can see just how much more lather flow we are able to get through. And yeah, huge improvements there. All right, the last thing I want to show you is the polish finish. It's always hard to shoot polished razors. I'm no good at it. They never look quite the way on camera that they do in person. But I wanted to go over this finish. It's not that much to talk about. It's a shiny version of what you just saw, but it looks really beautiful. And the handle with the satin midsection is both striking and super functional. Typically a polished razor is less grippy. In this case, you get all the grip and all the benefits of polished shoes. It's really the best of both worlds, where you don't lose anything by choosing the polished finish. Typically you lose a little bit of maneuverability and handling and secure grip. In this case, you don't. You have everything that you need, and I'm just extremely happy with how this two-tone finish looks. It's going to look better in the photos that we're taking this week, but trust me that it looks just amazing in person. And so with that, let's talk about next steps. Production is going. We are working on photography in the background now that we have everything fully finalized. So we have photography going, we're working on the product page, and we'll be ready to start pre-orders very soon. If we're lucky, could be as soon as this week. If we are unlucky, then we're looking at next week for pre-orders to start. And production has already begun. I don't have an exact timeline yet. Of course, when we start pre-orders, we will provide an estimated timeline for those. And again, we will have titanium available at the pre-order. They will be produced on the back end of the stainless run. So those will be a longer lead time for titanium than for stainless. But keep an eye out for an announcement via email and also social media in the next week or 2 weeks at most for that pre-order to start. Guys, it's been a fun one. Again, I want to thank you for your feedback. That was very helpful, and I think you guided me in the right direction. You guided me towards a more Blackland design, and I'm grateful for that. 9 years of doing this, and I don't know everything. And so sometimes you guys know Blackland better than I do, and I think you've made a great feedback that helped me make a change in the right direction. So thank you for that help, and thank you for your support during this series. This has been received very well, and I'm extremely excited, of course, to get this Sabre into your hands. So thank you as always, and we'll catch you in the next video.